Makes room for me. Okay, well, a little seagull tells me that you're feeling tired, but you can't sleep. Is that right? I thought so. So, we have three options. The first option is, would you like a warm glass of milk? No? Okay. The second option, number 2, would you like a cookie? No? Okay, no problem. The third option, would you like me to read you a story? Yep. Okay. Would you like me to read one from a book, or would you like me to make one up? Make one up. Okay, well, one of Dad's famous, long, drawn-out stories that make no sense, which you usually fall asleep to by the end, coming up. Just let me fluff your pillow a bit. We've got him in the background to look after us. Okay, so here it goes, a made-up story for you. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a young girl with her mother and father. She lived a happy life, and the pride of her life, her favourite thing, was her cat, Cookie. Now, Cookie was a wonderful cat, and the little girl and her did everything together. They'd play outside in the fields, and they'd play outside in the night. They'd also play in her room, and during dinner, Cookie would get little cuts of tuna to feed on as a treat, because she was a good cat. One day, the little girl was playing with her toys when she noticed that Cookie wasn't there. She was worried, so she went to her mum and dad and said, "Have you seen Cookie?" They said they hadn't. They were all worried by this point, so they all looked around, but they couldn't find Cookie anywhere. I know. The little girl asked her mum and dad if it would be okay for her to go to see the mayor to see if he knew where Cookie was. Her mum and dad said that would be fine, but first she would have to clean up all her toys. So, like a good little girl, she went into her bedroom and she cleaned up all of her toys into a big oak box. She closed the box and then went back to her mum and dad and asked if she could still go and see the mayor. Her mum and dad said yes, and they gave her a backpack. And in that backpack was some money, some food, and a knife. They explained that the money was to give to the mayor to find out where Cookie was. The food was for her to eat on the way, and the knife was for her protection. The little girl, desperate to find Cookie, set off straight away. She started walking down the long road to town, and on the way she bumped into a knight. The knight looked confused and upset. He asked the little girl, "What are you doing on this road? It's dangerous to walk on your own." The little girl said that she was going to see the mayor of the town to find out where her cat, Cookie, was. The knight laughed and said, "You'll get killed if you go down this road on your own." The little girl noticed that the knight didn't have a sword. He explained that he'd lost his sword in a duel with another knight, which he'd lost. The little girl, feeling sorry for the knight, said, "Would you like this?" and offered him the knife that her parents had given her for protection. The knight was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe the kindness of the little girl. He said thank you and took the knife, and said that he would always be there if she needed him. The little girl continued to walk down the road until she met a beggar. The beggar on the side of the road asked the little girl where she was going, and she explained that she was going to town to meet the mayor to find out where her cat Cookie was. The beggar laughed and said that it was dangerous walking down this road and that she wouldn't have enough money to give to the mayor. The little girl took out the money she had and asked the beggar if he wanted it. He graciously accepted the money and thanked the little girl a lot for her generosity. Then he wished her well on her journey, and she continued on. The little girl continued walking down the road on her own until she met up with a young woman with a baby. The young woman looked very hungry, and as she walked by, she said to the little girl, "Where are you going in such a hurry? It's dangerous down this road." The little girl explained that she was going to the town to see the mayor to find out where her cat Cookie was. The woman laughed and said that she wouldn't make it, that the road was so dangerous she would starve along the way. The little girl, being the kindest little girl in the world, offered the food that she had from her parents to the young mother. The young mother began to weep and accepted the bread and thanked her 1,000 times before the little girl continued down the path towards the town to meet the mayor to find out where her cat Cookie had gone. After walking for a very long time, she eventually reached the town. And when she got there, she noticed that there weren't many people around. In fact, the town was very quiet. She went to the mayor's office, and she went in, and the mayor was there. And she asked the mayor, "Where is my cat Cookie?" And the mayor responded by saying, "I can't help you unless you give me any money." She didn't have any money. He said, "Well, maybe a bite to eat would be good," but she didn't have any food. And then she said, well, then the mayor said, "Well, how about an ornament for me to keep?" But the little girl had given away everything her mum and dad had given her. The mayor said that he couldn't help her and that her only hope would be to speak to the king. The little girl made her way to the castle where the king lived, and she knocked on the portcullis and a guard let her in. When she got inside, she walked up to the throne room where the king was sat. She walked up to the king, knelt before him, and asked, "Majesty, where is my cat Cookie?" The king looked confused. He didn't have a cat himself. He was more of a dog person, so he didn't really understand the question, and he didn't know where Cookie was. In fact, he was so angry by the insubordination of the little girl that he decided to throw her into the dungeons. A day went by, and the little girl was then scheduled to be hanged. I know, horrible, right? She was taken up to the gibbet and put on the docks, and then, as the executioner put the noose around her neck, a cry came out from the crowd, and the knight that she had helped on the road stepped forward. It turned out that he was actually a prince and the son of the king. He said that the little girl should be spared because she had shown him great kindness on her way to see the mayor. The king, being a bit of an idiot, didn't really believe the prince and said that the execution would go ahead. Then an old man chirped up. It turned out that the old man that the little girl had helped was actually a very, very respected mystic, and he said that the little girl had helped him too. Still, this wasn't enough for the king, and he said that the execution had to go ahead. After that, there was a cry from the crowd of a woman. The woman turned out to be the queen, who had been kidnapped by an enemy force and left on the side of the road with her son, the king's son. She had just arrived and said to the king that the little girl had saved her life. The king, grateful as he could be, thanked the little girl and decided not to have her executed. Instead, he gave her all the things that she had lost along the way. He gave her a lot of gold so that she could buy all of the cats that she wanted. He also gave her a sword made specially from the king's armory. And then he gave her the biggest cake that she had ever seen, and he commissioned some of his knights to take it back with her to her home. She thanked the king sincerely for his kindness, but said that all she really wanted was to know where her cat Cookie was. The king didn't know, and so the little girl decided to go back home. The king gave her a horse that she could keep too, so she made her way back with all of the treasures that he had given her. And when she got home, her mum and dad came out to greet her. They were surprised to see so many different people with her, as well as all the gifts. But they too were sad that she had not found Cookie. So the little girl, feeling a bit sad and lonely, went to bed. In the night, she started hearing little meows. All of a sudden, she sat up and realized that it must be Cookie. She got out of bed and tried to follow where the meows were coming from. Eventually, it led her to a toy box, the big oak toy box. She opened the box, and inside, lo and behold, was Cookie. Cookie jumped out and cuddled her really, really tight, and the little girl cuddled her right back. It turned out that Cookie had been in the box the whole time. So the little girl had been an adventure for no reason. But she had learnt so much along the way and had been rewarded so many times that she was grateful for Cookie for that little game of hide and seek.